here with Calise Simone, renowned psychic, medium, healer, and spiritual advisor. In this segment, we'll be talking about her life and her background. Welcome.
Hi, Kathy. How are you?
Good. Nice to be here.
Good. Thank you.
So I know that you're a psychic. I know you're a healer. I know you're a spiritual advisor. You're all these things.
Yes.
And I want to make a joke, but I'm not going to make a joke. We'll go right to, so tell me, how did you get involved in this?
Well, I've actually been a psychic and a medium my whole life. I just never realized it until I got older. As a child, I would see spirits around my room while I was going to sleep. I would have dreams that would come true. As a teenager, I started seeing auras and I thought that I just needed glasses. But then as I got older and I started meditating and, you know, getting more into the spiritual world, understanding what was going on, I realized I actually had a gift.
Huh. And so, I mean, the part where you said, oh, I saw them in my room as a child, that must have been kind of a little frightening, right? Or was it, or maybe...
No, it wasn't. I mean, you know, with some people when they have mediumship experiences as a child, they say, oh, it was fun, I had imaginary friends. But for me, it was quite the opposite. I was, you know, I'd lie in bed at night waiting to go to sleep as you do, and then faces would come out of the wall and hands would come out of the wall, and I'd start to think, oh my gosh, I'm going crazy. But then when I'd tell my mom, she said, there's no such thing as monsters,
right.
you know,
as
parents do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so then I would try and go back to sleep and, you know, she'd turn on all the lights and show me there's no one else in the room. Okay, you know, logically, yes, that's true. And then go back to sleep, and then I might wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning and there's these faces again and these presences, and it was really frightening. Even now, if I'm by myself or traveling or, you know, in an unfamiliar space, it'll start happening. And I just, you know, now I understand it. I can say, guys, go away, I'm trying to sleep. But back in the day, I didn't really understand what was going on. It was a bit much.
Don't you think that's really, I'm kind of sort of going off, but don't you think that's really common for children to be seeing things? I mean, do you think that maybe...
I think it is, yeah. I believe that children still have a lot of access to the spirit world. Their energy is very open. They haven't had society tell them to close down. They haven't had people tell them it's not true. Right. I believe it's more natural to have a spiritual ability than it is to be switched off.
Because I have some memories of like stuff like that, not clear ones, but like my sister and I are terrified of the dark, absolutely terrified. I mean, I have worked through it over the years, which is kind of another story, but I remember that as a kid, like just being absolutely terrified of the dark. So tell me a little bit more about how you sort of then segued. Like, did something happen that you sort of kind of clued into, like, oh, this isn't just I need glasses, or this isn't just...
Yeah, it was a series of events. One of the first events I remember, I was in college at the time, and I had a dream where 3 different things happened in the dream, and over the space of the next 3 days they came true. And one was about a friend who was very distressed and distraught. The other was about my mother who wasn't feeling well, and in the dream she'd had some kind of accident, and then, you know, 24 hours later she cut her hand and fell over, and, you know, it wasn't a big deal. It was just a chance thing. But it was just weird that the 3 things that had happened in the dream then happened that weekend, because I had the dream, I think, on a Friday, and then by Monday all 3 things had happened. And it only clicked when the one friend said to me, the one who had had the dream where he was very distraught, he then called me up. At the time I was like, you know, I had this crazy dream, I just want to check in and see if you're okay. And he's like, no, I'm fine. And so we laughed it off. But then he contacted me 2 days later and he said, oh my God, my visa's been revoked, the job offer fell through, I have to go back to Brazil to see my grandmother, all this kind of stuff. He's like, how did you know, are you psychic? And I was like, no, maybe, I don't know, you know. And that was when it started to click, and I thought, well, maybe there is something to this. Then, I mean, obviously I'm from Australia, I have a very different accent, but then I moved to New York.
That's a Brooklyn accent.
A what?
A Brooklyn accent.
Yeah, sorry, this is my Brooklyn accent. Some people do ask me that. But yeah, then I moved over to New York and started working on Wall Street because I've got a background in finance and accounting. And with the stress of that, everyone was saying to me, you should meditate, you should meditate. And, you know, when you're in that zone of AAA type personality, you just think, oh, whatever, you know, I don't need to meditate, it's fine. But then enough people started telling me that I thought maybe it is a good idea. So I started to learn meditation, and I began with Sahaj Yoga meditation, which is an Indian practice, which basically just brings you into the present moment. And the idea is that you just be at one with yourself, be present in the moment. And I think their level of where they try to get you is to thoughtless awareness. So into a state of thoughtless awareness where you're very much aware of what's going on and you're just in the moment. So when I began practicing that, everything really opened, like big time opened. I would, the dreams just kept coming, and I started meeting with my ancestors in my dreams. I started having experiences during the day where I could sense spirit around, you know, physical mediumship where things started to move around my apartment. Lights would switch on and off, taps would turn on and off. The peak or the craziest part, the craziest moment was that I remember when I was sitting in a car and the car switched itself on with no keys in the car, and it was just me in the car and it wasn't my car. I was waiting for someone. And I got really freaked out, and I was reading a magazine, I put it down, and I was like, okay, who's here? What do you want to know? What do we need to do? And at that time, I had already started doing intuitive development classes and getting a handle on what was going on.
Because it was happening so much, you felt like I have to do something about this. You know?
Yeah, I'd be sitting in a business meeting and I would see my boss talking to me and see his grandmother standing behind him.
And what was she doing? Is she going like this?
Maybe. No, she was just there, you know, and it's, you know, and I'm sensing like she wants to tell me something to tell him, but how can I do that in such a formal setting where they're probably going to think I'm nuts and then fire me at the same time? So it was a very strange place to be in, and I think a lot of people who go through mediumship experiences have these same problems, but yeah, it was quite confusing. Then when I started to do the classes, basically we would focus on someone in front of us and, you know...
Like a real person.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Let's clarify. So we would sit in a circle and do exercises where we'd focus on the person in front of us and give them a message. And some people would say, oh, I see purple, I see blue, I smell jasmine, you know. And then for me, I'd tune in and I'd say, okay, well, your mother-in-law's here, Annabelle. She's showing me a pair of shoes. Oh my gosh, she loved shoes. Okay. She's showing me a contract about a house. She says you need to check page 48. Like, I was just getting all these clear messages.
And how were they coming to you? In like pictures or like?
Clairvoyantly,
Here, you just knew. You just...
A combination.
What's clairvoyant mean?
Clairvoyant is to see.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Clairaudient is to hear. And clairsentient is to just know.
Oh, to just know.
So it was a combination of all of those. And the craziest part was I didn't even know I could do this until I was in the moment doing it. And so, you know, then we'd finish the circle and other students were asking me to do readings for them after class. So I was like, sure, why not? Let's see what happens. And so we did that, and then their friends wanted readings, and then their parents wanted readings, and their friends wanted... So I started charging people, and then I became a psychic medium. So
long story short?
Yeah, long story short. It turns out my mom has the same gift my grandmother, great-grandmother.
And nobody talked about it until you started to pursue it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Or is it kind of... I mean, I think that with a lot of people, it's kind of a little bit of a... I don't know, like a joke or something, like, oh yeah, we're psychic, or, you know, we're all witches, or there's like some little thing where people are sort of offhandedly making these jokes, you know?
Right.
So it's kind of a little bit in our culture in this kind of strange way, but it's also like nobody believes it. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. We always knew that my grandmother and great-grandmother had something because they would always know, like, if there was going to be an earthquake or if someone was in trouble, but it just went that little bit beyond mother's intuition. It was just that little bit more that made it a bit freaky.
Right.
So we always joked that they were witches.
Right.
And then I later found out that her brother-in-law used to draw pictures of spirits he would see in seances at his home, and, you know, just something like really wacky and spiritual like that. And I was like, why didn't you guys talk about this growing up, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, my mom did crystal healing in the 90s and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So
yeah,
we're
as
all
we're
open
sitting
to it.
here, I think, oh, what festive fun, you know?
Right.
I mean, like, why don't we embrace these things? Like, how much fun would our lives, much more fun our lives would be, you know, like if we were sitting around doing this stuff. But I also, you know, but if you think back a little bit further, you know, 100 years ago, I mean, they were burning people. So,
right.
I mean, it's not surprising that, you know, this is kind of all a little...
It is a little taboo, I guess you could say, but I guess in the last 6 or 7 years, I feel, maybe it's just my life and the direction I've taken, it's become a lot more socially acceptable.
Absolutely.
People have embraced it and really gotten excited about this kind of work, which is great. You know, practicing this work, it's sort of like owning an identity, like if you were going to come out about sexuality or something like that, you know, you have to, I'm a medium, you know, it's like one of those ones where you
wait
feel...
a moment, see how they, you know, feel them out a little bit, see if they're going to be open to it.
And then, you know, you're always ready for the backlash of how people are going to react. But I'm at the point right now where I don't really care as much as I used to. So
yeah,
it is who I am. You know, it's what I do.
Yeah, and you're probably around the right people now. You know, maybe not when you were working in the finance world or the investment world, but now that you're sort of, you know, You're probably around the right. You're in Williamsburg.
Definitely.
I mean, good Lord, you know, like how could that not be the best place?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And I do feel that as you pursue something in your life and your vibration changes, the people around you change, your experiences change, and your reality changes in turn.
Yeah.
You know, the people that I used to hang out with just vibrated away, and the new people vibrated towards me, and new reality created, yeah.
Yeah, nice. That's great. So I think that you also have gotten, you mentioned it, but like, can you tell me a little bit more about the the actual training you got regarding
Sure.
this?
Yeah. I've done a lot of different types of training, and basically, I'm of the opinion that the more people you learn with, the more you learn. So I think it's really great to have one teacher that teaches you a lot, but then to go out and learn with other people. So I've had training in psychic development, I've had training in intuitive development, I've had training in mediumship, advanced mediumship, trance mediumship, and energetic healing and therapeutic touch. So each different course allows you to tap into different areas of your practice, but then also sitting in circles with other mediums, I've shared their energy and learnt how they do their work, so that then I can sort of pick up tips from them, you know, in their development circles as well, just with different ways they communicate with spirit, put up boundaries with spirit. It's just as important to close it off as it is to open it up.
So can you clarify for me, like you were talking about the clairvoyant versus the clairsentient versus the clairaudio?
Clairaudient.
Audience.
Yeah.
Can you also clarify for me, like the medium versus the
Psychic
versus
versus the trance channel.
Yeah,
Sure.
whatever.
So a medium is someone that talks to dead people, basically. You talk to the spirit world, you open your energy, you connect. I wouldn't limit it to dead people, actually, because you're talking to spirit guides, you're talking to ascended masters, loved ones. Anyone who's in a higher vibration is the mediumship. That's the connection to the spirit world and the afterlife. The psychic stuff is past, present, future, your energy. My aura connects to your aura, and I read what's going on around you. So I might see things that are just about to happen, things that have just happened, things that are happening right now. People use tarot cards for that as well. It's just a tool of divination. But when I do it, I just generally just connect to the person, and off we go. I can see auras as well, which can give me more information about you and your body. The therapeutic touch and healing works with moving energy around the aura to clear chakras, move blockages, things like that. Always used in conjunction with Western medicine, never as an alternative. I always like people to do both. I think that's the most important. The other thing that I've been trained in and that I practice privately but not publicly is trance channeling mediumship. So that's where it's a much deeper level of mediumship, where the spirit shares the body of the medium and then is able to talk through the medium. So that's a bit more of an intense practice, and you know, that's something that people do as demonstration work and not so much private one-on-one sessions, because it is very, very draining for the medium to do, but it's very cool at the same time. Yeah.
And where did you learn that?
The trance mediumship I learnt with Tony Stockwell.
Are these
He's a
people
British
local, or
medium.
are they?
Tony Stockwell's an international medium based in the UK, I believe somewhere near London. I'm not sure where exactly he grew up. I've also trained with Lisa Williams, who's from the UK. Just different private mediums from all over. Yeah, the Holistic Studies Institute and so forth.
Do they have like classes and stuff? Or that
They
you sort
do,
of, you
yeah.
sign up
I mean,
for a
you
class and then you...
Pretty much these days, any medium that you've heard of will probably have a class or be affiliated with some kind of association. You can just go on their website and have a look. They run mentoring programs and things like that. I recommend people look for spiritualist churches in their local area and see what programs are running. It's really good to have a structured course behind you, at least one structured course, so that you're certified and ethically trained. It's quite challenging to go into a reading as what they call a natural medium with no structure, no ethics, no training behind you. I just feel that's a really risky thing to do, because structurally it's hard to structure a reading if you haven't had any training, and you know, but some people still do very well. So I just feel if you want to develop, go do a course. It'll help you. It'll be so much easier.
And what do they teach you?
Well, in a course, you basically learn how to open your energy, how to connect to spirit, how to close your energy, how to recognize when messages come through. I teach as well in New York City, and you know, every now and then, so always check on my website.
Yeah, no, I'm going to go to one of your classes.
Yay! But it depends on what you're learning as to how they teach. You know, if you're learning psychic, it's how to connect to psychic energy, how to recognize the psychic message when it comes in, how to trust the energy when it comes through.
Huh. I have a kind of a little bit of an off question. I don't know if you can even answer this, but you know, there's like the word karma. You know what karma is? Do you think karma and sort of auras or psychic phenomena do you think those two things are sort of related, or?
It can be. Karma, I have been taught, is a belief system, and that if you sign on to that, it will definitely work for you, and if you don't sign on to it, it won't apply to you. So for some people, it's a universal law, and for other people who don't have that belief system, it doesn't affect their life, which is kind of crazy when you think about how different those two realities are, even though they can be side by side.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, don't you think, I guess for me, I think karma is like, you do bad shit's going to come back to you.
Right.
You know, like that kind of thing. I mean, and I think whether you believe it or not, I think it's kind of true. You know, like sometimes I get really upset with somebody and I really dislike them. And I think, well, there's nothing I can do to them to make their life worse because they're already doing that for themselves, you know?
That's true.
So I think that, you know, like with the whole psychic thing, you know, like past, present, and future kind of relationship, I don't know, like I kind of feel like it kind of has to be the same ball.
It definitely ties in. So the way I see it is, I have lived sections of my life where karma is very, very prevalent, where if I've done something, something good will definitely happen and something bad will definitely happen. But what I've found through that process is that the reason why it works so strongly at those moments is because my vibration is attuned to that at that moment. So if I'm going out doing something that I'm really cranky and, you know, I'm just going to throw away the rest of my coffee because I don't want to drink because I'm cranky. And then all of a sudden that splashes up and splashes onto someone else. Oh dear, you know, like that's bad karma, right? Because I wasted the coffee, or however you want to see it. I see it more as the vibration I'm carrying in that moment. So if I'm carrying a happy vibration, then I'll carry happy energy and it brings about more happiness. So I see it from that perspective. The more attuned you are to a vibration, the more it's going to relay, whether it's through karma or through any other law of attraction, any other system that we have. But I do feel those energetic systems are real and have been real in my experience. Yeah.
I mean, I think they're sort of real. I mean, and whether you call it karma or psychic or whatever, energies or whatever.
Definitely.
I think it's really real. I think one of the things that sort of has been happening through the show is like to see, like talk to all these people from these different traditions and different venues or whatever, and to see how it sort of is all kind of really very much the same. Like it has like kind of a lot of overlapping things.
Yeah.
So where do you think you're going to go in the future? I mean, do you think that you're going to continue
spiritually?
Yeah, but do you think that you had said that like it's a good thing to get more
more
training? I mean, do you think that you're going to continue in this, or do you think you're going to sort of grab another skill, or I mean, what do you think?
It's a good question. I mean, I like to learn. I love to learn, and I'm really passionate about the spiritual stuff, which is why I turned it into a career. Or I guess I feel like the career. Yeah, I feel like the career chose me. Actually, it was never my intention to be a reader. It kind of just happened.
Sure, I think everybody, right? I
mean, maybe
the people who have the most interesting lives or the most interesting jobs. You go, oh, did you want to be? No, I had no idea I was going to be that. You know, you kind of just have to go with the flow, man.
And that's when it gets really easy too.
Yeah.
So in terms of my direction, I still want to learn. You know, I find it all very, very interesting. For me, the next thing that I want to delve deeper into is physical mediumship, because that to me is just awesome. You know, when a spirit can bring an object to you, or when they can move something around the room or come through your body, you know, that's something that I'd like to practice more of. But being able
Tell me more about that.
Okay, so physical mediumship, what I do in a reading is mental mediumship. I open my energy, connect to a spirit and give you messages. Physical mediumship is when a spirit comes more into our vibration and is able to move things physically around the room, or come into my body and talk through me using direct voice, that kind of thing. Not a lot of people practice it. It's not really taught. If you ever find someone that teaches it, go for it, because it's really, really hard to find someone that teaches and teaches it properly. But it is a very rare gift, and it's very, very cool. You know, people do seances where they sit in the dark and they use ectoplasm to sort of create energy and things happen in the room. People report seeing lights and furniture moving. It's always done with love. You know, it's never the occult. It's never, you know, we're going to create an energy and go and harm someone. It's never anything like that. It's always done with love and respect and, you know, for the highest scientific purposes. And a lot of experiments have been done about that work as well.
Yeah, I've seen some videos on it, and it is a little surprising. Like, you know, because you're watching a video, it's somebody else's shtick, right? You don't really know, but it is still a little impressive, you know?
Yeah, I've seen planchettes and I've seen table tipping in real life, and it's, you know, I didn't believe it at first, but then, you know, I went and walk around the table. I'm like, okay, yep, this is real, and it's really cool.
And why do you want to do that?
Just because it's fun. You know,
yeah,
and I
it's
feel
kind of cool, right?
Yeah, I feel if it's fun and it's cool, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say that part of the show is I love being like a spiritual tourist.
Yeah.
You know, like that's like, I just love doing this stuff. I love talking to people, and I love like, even if I wasn't doing the show, I would still be going and sort of going to these different groups and checking it out because I'm just really curious. I have to say though, I'm not really a big believer. I'm not saying it's true. I'm not saying it's not true. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. You know, like, I like to believe it's true, but until I see it with my own eyes, you know, experience it firsthand, I'm not really. I don't know.
That's absolutely fine.
You were probably the same.
I was the biggest skeptic, and I would sit down with people. I think probably about 12 months before I realized that I had the gift. I remember sitting across from a friend in a bar, saying, "What do you think happens when you die? Because I think when you die, and that's it." And he was looking at me like, yeah, I don't know. We'll figure out when we die, I guess. Right. And I was like, no, what do you think? You know, I was like really pushing for an answer. But, you know, lo and behold, 12 months later, I had a very different perspective because I'd seen it with my own eyes. Right. And I totally get that people don't believe it and don't want to be interested in it because I was the same. And I think it's really healthy to be a skeptic because there are so many people with so many ideas and, you know, people that aren't trained and gypsies and, you know, you don't want to get scammed. You don't want to get told the wrong things. So unless you see it with your own eyes and you trust it, then you shouldn't believe it.
When I was younger, I was a lot more into these things. And had I stumbled across some training, I probably totally would have taken it. But now as I get older, I don't even want to know the answers anymore. You know, like a bunch of years ago, I was going to go abroad. And my friend who is Chinese, and I was like, ask your grandmother, go to the temple and ask your grandmother how this trip will turn out. And she's like, are you sure? Because what if the answer is it's going to be bad? You know, what are you going to do then? And I was like, well, you ask, you find out, and then you censor the answer, you know. And so she found out, and I think the answer came, and she told me the answer was it was going to be mixed. And and the trip was mixed, you know. I mean, it was good, and it was not so good. I mean, it was not tragically bad, but it wasn't, you know, supremely awesome, but it was somewhere in between. And I think as I get older, I'm not sure I want to know anymore. You know, like I'm not sure.
That's normal. I mean, people come to me. If people come to me, I really prepare them. You know, like, do you want to know everything?
Yes.
Are you coming here because you want to know? Because if you don't want to know, like, don't ask me. Or I can just talk about certain things and not about other things. Yeah. But my whole theory is that if I see something for you that looks a little challenging, it's better to know about it so you can prepare for it. Right. And maybe even avoid it. Yep. You know, like if I see you getting into a car with someone who looks like they're not capable of driving too well, or I see a certain incident, it's better that I tell you a week before so that when that incident comes, you know not to get in that car. Yeah. You know, so, and I'm never just going to be like, oh, I see cancer, see you later. You know, I'll be
Good
like,
luck with that.
Yeah. I'll just be like, oh, it looks like you're not taking care of your diet. You might want to look into that because it looks like it's going to start affecting your health if you don't do something. You know, and that's the kind of messages that I give, positive, uplifting, something that you can actually move forward with, you know, that's nothing doom and gloom.
And I guess that's everything, right? I mean, there's nothing that's really unworkable, you know. I mean, it is better if you know you need to go see a doctor. It's better to know that now than it is, you know, 2 years from now.
Absolutely.
You know? Yeah. I have to say that I kind of follow my horoscope a little bit.
Okay.
I actually make a little bit of decisions on it. Not life-changing decisions, but for example, the other night I looked at my horoscope, or the other afternoon, and it said, go out and have some fun. My options were to stay home and prepare for this. Yes. Or to go out and have some fun. I went out. So there you go. I do the horoscope thing. Well,
I went out too and had some fun. So that was two of us that didn't prepare. And look, we're having a great time.
Are you a Virgo?
No, I'm a Sagittarius. So my default setting is to have fun.
Oh, very good. Very good.
Yeah.
So we're almost out of time.
Okay.
Is there anything you want to sort of share before we cut off?
Basically just be open, you know, just be open. If you see signs from the spirit world, or you think you might have a gift, explore it. There's nothing to be afraid of. This isn't black magic. This isn't the dark arts, voodoo, anything like that. This is very much love, light, normal spirituality. It's non-religious in any way. It's just working with energy that's around. It's almost, in a way, I see it as a form of physics.
So, so you kind of just, for you personally, you sort of just tune into what's around you. That's what the whole shtick is.
Yeah, just tune in and see what's around. It's like a advanced level of telepathy, really.
Huh. Well, great. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
This was really great fun.